to another episode of Animation Fascination. And with me again, as per usual, and most of the time, is Mr. Stanford Clark.
Hey.
Hi. Welcome, Stanford, again. And then joining us today is Augustine. Welcome.
Hey, hello everybody.
Yeah. Thanks
Nice
for
to hang
joining
with you
us.
guys. Yeah, no problem.
Thank
I'm excited to
you.
be here, excited to talk. I love what y'all do, and I'm ready to geek out with not Hector and Adam. So
Yeah, if people want to see them, they can either go to heroesreforged.com or the your friendly numbered Spider-Man episode or the Superman animation episode. So
yeah. The guys have been on here, so it's
Yeah.
it's nice to have the trio completed. You have your Infinity Gauntlet of Heroes Reforged.
I know, right? It's the trio of awesomeness is what I
Yeah.
call it. I just
Yeah.
think it's geeking out here. So great. Thank you,
Yeah.
Augustine, for being
Yeah,
with
no
us.
problem.
Yeah. And then so today we're going to be talking about the third Avatar film from James Cameron, Avatar: Fire and Ash. Aang not in this film, so sorry to disappoint everybody. Also known as Dances with Wolves, also known as Fern Gully. But so for everybody, like, what's kind of your background as far as Augustine? Like, you used to work in, like, with like 3D like conversion for films. Like, you want to explain like kind of your background with that to
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it kind of goes back. Let's go way back into time. How far do you want to go back? So I had always wanted to be in the movies. What got me into wanting to take a career into movies was actually Lord of the Rings. And so I love Lord of the Rings. I used to draw Marvel comics all the time. And my parents were always super supportive of an art career, which is rare to hear from parents, right? Like, they saw me drawing and they were like, yeah, you follow that, go do whatever you want to do. That led me to go to art school. I got my degree in animation. Unfortunately, though, I graduated in 2008, which was when we had a dip in the economy. You too, Mark? Yeah. Major dip in the economy. Bad time for Hollywood. All the animator jobs went to Canada, Japan, South Korea. Everything just kind of spread out. So my animation goals were kind of dashed. Unless, I wasn't really super talented per se, which is why I didn't really pursue it. But I did have old faculty of mine get me at least an interview with this company called Legend 3D in San Diego. And they were doing a lot of VFX and post-conversion of stereoscopic movies. So the first movie I got to work on was Shrek, which had come out in 2001? Which is kind of weird. But it was already 2010-ish, and I was working on Shrek, so my IMDb's all kinds of messed up. And so I I was working in VFX in compositing and stereo conversion for about 7 years. My San Diego job eventually led me to LA. I stayed here, and I've been here since 2012-ish. And yeah, so 3D has always been, it was something that the industry had kind of scarred me. When I left compositing in 3D, I swore I'd never watch another 3D movie again. And I was at odds with Hector and Adam because they were so gung-ho about 3D. And I was like, no, I don't want to watch it, blah, blah, blah. But as I get older and as I start to reflect back on my career, I'm like, hey, I put a lot of time and energy into these things. I might as well be able to see my work and show my work. And it wasn't until about maybe 2 years ago that I finally got a used 3D TV on Facebook Marketplace, and I started collecting all the Blu-rays again and all the movies that I had touched and worked on. And so, just looking back on it, I can finally look back on it and not remember the tough times that you have when you're, going through Hollywood. And so now I'm all about it, just like Hector and Adam. I'm collecting Blu-rays, I'm collecting, movies just in general. And I'm showing my work to people who will see it, who come over to the house and they want to see like a 3D movie, or that I know they're kind of into it, and I can show them. And I usually tell them that Avatar, the 1, 2, and 3 are whole different movies when you watch them in 3D, which I think is, a testament to what James Cameron is doing with all his stuff over there. But that's kind of in a nutshell where I'm coming from. Obviously huge lover of movies and comic books and all things nerdy, and it's right up my wheelhouse. And so something like Avatar has always been something that I was destined to be a fan of.
Nice.
Augustine, I
That's
know that we can look up your bio on IMDb, but do you have some favorite films that you worked on that you
Yeah.
wouldn't mind sharing with us
Yeah.
before we dive into Avatar?
I have one standout because this movie surprised me so much. So we were working on Mad Max Fury Road maybe 6 months before anybody had seen anything. And so I was looking at these dailies, and the dailies looked bad. The color grading was horrible, and that's because they were just giving us the raw footage. The VFX weren't done yet, and I was looking at these weird images of like this dude hanging off a car,
Yeah,
rocking on a guitar, and these
guitar.
weird
Yeah.
drummers. And I was looking at this footage. I was like, what is I don't get it. This is going to be horrible. What a huge flop. And then I was working with Adam at the same company at that point. And so I was sitting at my desk, and the trailer had because I was watching YouTube as I was working, and the trailer for Mad Max had come up. And I was watching it, and I was just like, what is this? My mind was absolutely blown by the fact that what I was working on did not look like this trailer that I was just seeing. And to me, I think Mad Max Fury Road, the first trailer of that movie, is probably the best trailer I've ever seen. And it just blew my mind. And I run over to Adam, because Adam was also working on the movie. I run over there. I'm like, Adam, you have to watch this trailer, dude. And so we both just sat there, and our minds were blown. And that's when we got really excited that we were lucky enough to be able to work on that movie, because now our little fingerprints are on it. Even though we didn't get our names in the credits, our little fingerprints are on it, and I can put it on my
Yeah,
IMDb,
that you worked on it.
I was so excited. So excited.
So cool.
Yeah. So that always stands out as like, man, I had always had moments when I had watched movies previously where I had wished that I could have been on the crew to work on that movie. Like just things in general that I get really excited about, like Lord of the Rings and all this stuff. And in this case, it came true. I was like, yeah, I got to touch this really cool project that I know that after I saw this movie in theaters, I would have said, man, I would have given anything to be on that crew. And then I was, and it was so cool. And I'm always going to be so proud and jealous of my old self for being able to work on those old movies.
Yeah.
nice.
So yeah, that really stands out for me.
Nice. Stanford, with your experience with the Avatar movies, did you see the first film way back in the year 2009 in theaters when that came out?
Oh, absolutely. I think I saw it opening weekend in IMAX 3D, and it absolutely blew my mind. And I kept dragging my friends to it. I can't remember how many times I saw it, but it was a few. Because I just like, you've got to see this movie, and don't see it in any other format other than in IMAX 3D. And that's why it's been now for these other additional two films too. Same IMAX 3D only. It's the only way I want to watch it.
Absolutely.
Because I mean, not only is I love just the IMAX format, the ratio, and I mean just the size of the screen, but just the 3D. It really blows my mind. So I'm so glad I get to talk about this with you, Augustine, because maybe you can help us process through some of it. Like, why is it? What makes this so awesome, other than just what it is?
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Just, What about you, Mark? What was the first? Sorry to interrupt you. What was the first time you saw it, or how did you see it?
Well, I just thought of something. Is that I guess technically I've seen each of the films in a different state that I've lived in at the time that they came out. So like,
nice.
I saw the first movie when I lived in upstate New York. I saw that in Syracuse there. And they didn't. The only IMAX theater they had there was at like the Science Museum in 2009. So I think I just saw that like in a regular 3D theater at the.
Okay, but you saw it in 3D though.
Yeah. And I remember that was outstanding. And I think not long after, remember how long it was after that like maybe 2 or 3 years later, I got the 3D TV that I still have now. And it's So the other thing for people that get 3D TVs too, there's two different kinds that you can get. There's the polarized and non-polarized ones. So I believe I have whichever one has the same glasses you can wear at the theater at home.
Yeah.
Is that what you have too, Augustine?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the only way. If people are going to get 3D TVs at home, if they talk to me about it, I would highly suggest getting a passive one, because I had a TV with active glasses, and it's a real pain in the butt.
Yeah, I don't know why I said polar. Yeah, you're passive, not passive. But yeah.
Oh yeah, it's okay.
Polarized lenses, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, and then that way you had a reason to save the cool 3D glasses that you had got from when you go to see.
I actually had some cool ones when we were working on the Avengers movie. My first credit on a movie was Avengers 1 on the 3D team, and so I have it on the screen, which is really cool. But they would, for every Avengers and Marvel movie we would get to work on, they would give us glasses from a character from that movie. So I have Iron Man 3D glasses, I have Hulk 3D glasses,
nice.
I have Captain America 3D glasses. They're really cool. They're really cool.
Cool.
And now I have the passive TV, and so I can wear those whenever
you can wear them. Yeah,
whenever I watch the 3D at home. So I get you. Nice. I get you, Mark.
Yeah, I have a few of those, because like the ones that are most comfortable though are the ones that are like would be like normal glasses. So like like the Tony Stark ones, I think that they did for Iron Man 3 or one of the, but yeah, like the ones that looked like his sunglasses, those like are nice and comfortable. And then the Harry Potter ones are nice because they just look like Harry Potter's glasses. So
nice. Yeah, that's cool. Well, you know what's actually the most comfortable, since you're both glassed up like me, they sell some really cool clip-ons. I don't know if you guys have seen those. But they have a little clip-on thing that goes on the bridge of your nose right here, and it just clips on to your normal glasses, and you can't even tell that you have anything on because it's just clipped on your glasses.
Nice.
And
so you're just wearing your regular glasses. And
yeah. I wish more people knew about that.
Correction.
Yeah, nothing. Because at work, when we were working on 3D, they wouldn't give us, the clip-on, so we would have to wear just 3D glasses on top of our normal glasses. And I know that's a huge gripe for a lot of people, who wear glasses. They're just not used to that. And I totally get it. It is uncomfortable, but when it's your job to wear them like that, I had no choice. I had to wear them like that. And so it just feels natural to me. But when I hear people say, "Oh, I don't watch 3D movies because I have to wear glasses on top of my glasses," I'm like, you know what? I get it, because you never had to do it professionally, and so it's a whole different thing, and it can be uncomfortable.
Honestly, could you step us? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Could you step us through a little bit through the process of what your work was like what what kind of software were you using? What was your work environment like, as far as just like, are you just in a dark room with a bunch of monitors?
Yes, that's exactly what we're doing, because it has to be light controlled, obviously. But I don't know if the process is like this now. I stopped working in the industry maybe about 2017-ish. So it has probably changed. But when I was working there, obviously dark room, it was just standard office spaces. Our office space was in Burbank, next to the Burbank Hotel, next to the big Marriott where they hold a lot of conventions and stuff. So we were right by the
airport.
Yeah, right next door. Right next door to the airport. So we were in a little bit of a high-rise building, and so I would go in every day, and I would get a shot, or have been working on a shot. And the way you work on a shot is with something called a depth map. I don't know if you guys have seen a depth map or what a depth map looks like, but you're basically looking at the movie, but in a black and white image that tells you what is close to the screen and what is far away from the screen. So when something is close to the screen, it's more white and opaque. And when something is far away from the screen, it's dark and it's almost black. So you're working in this predetermined space that the director gives you. So say we're working on a certain sequence with Hulk fighting whoever, and they decide that the depth of the shot is a certain amount of what they call pixels deep. So you have to know how many pixels deep you're going for this particular sequence, and you're working within those parameters. And so you, as an artist, you have to pull out the images and push back the images and figure out what details are correct. And then you have to present that in dailies or present it to your lead, and they'll tell you, oh no, work on this. Oh, the shape of this head is wrong. Oh, you know, the chin's pushed down a little bit too far and the forehead's too far forward. So kind of like find a little middle space in between that. So you actually have control over the depth and the way things kind of move. And what made it really difficult is when there was high action in shots, when somebody, you know, had like a big, huge 3D move, keeping proportions and really kind of understanding how things move in space was really key to making sure that good 3D comes out of, you know, a conversion style movie. Because some people swear that, you know, the only way to get it right is with 3D cameras, but I feel like conversion really gives you a lot more control over that and lets you kind of decide and be a little bit more artistic and really kind of like, I don't know, I feel like it gives you a lot of more cool opportunities to really kind of emphasize what looks good in 3D. So yeah, that's a little bit of the process. It was, you know, there's a lot of other stuff that went on. I was just one part of the chain,
incredibly complicated,
that went through, and just yeah, it was really complicated. But you know, I was just the beginning part of this whole process of conversion.
Nice. Very cool.
Yeah.
Now, so at the second movie for me, The Way of Water, I saw that when I lived in Arizona. That one I did get to see in an IMAX theater, and luckily where I lived in Arizona was the only actual correct IMAX aspect ratio in the entire state was in the Phoenix area. So I was able to see it there, and that was outstanding as well. And then now that I've moved up to the Bay Area, I went and saw the most recent film, Fire and Ash, at the AMC Metreon, which
in San Francisco, right?
Yeah. So the fun fact about that is that that's the second biggest IMAX theater in the entire United States.
Nice.
The first one is the IMAX in Lincoln Square in New York City. So I was like, okay. But it was a very amazing experience to
I bet
see.
that was a cool experience.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. And the other thing there too is that, so I saw, that was the second time I saw it. The first time I saw it in Dolby 3D, which that is another thing I would recommend for people that may sometimes be adverse to 3D too, because sometimes 3D films will be a little bit dimmer because of like the glasses and whatnot. But with like the Dolby 3D, it's just as bright. It's basically like, think of it as if you're seeing some 3D films in HD, and then Dolby 3D is like watching it in 4K. It's like the best way I can, but like I would recommend seeing it either one of those ways. IMAX obviously is amazing, but like also the Dolby 3D is cool, because I saw Alita Battle Angel years ago that way too.
Yeah,
that was really cool in 3D, Dolby 3D.
Now I think also I saw Fire and Ash in high frame rate, if I'm not mistaken. And are they doing that in all IMAX 3D screenings now, or do you have to have, is it only in certain theaters? I'm sorry, I don't know. Do you guys know?
Yeah, so I don't know exactly which theaters are capable of it, but I do know that there are some offerings that are only in 24 frames per second, because there's some theaters that can't handle the high frame rate. And so you do have that option. But you know, obviously I think the best way to watch it is to watch it in the most premium format possible. And if you listen to James Cameron on his interviews too, he's always like, go to the biggest, most expensive theater. You're gonna want to watch it this way. And you know, after watching it, and after I don't know if you guys know, but me and the guys did a tour of Lightstorm Studios with James.
That's right.
Right?
Saw that.
That was incredible. And that man talked to us for almost 4 hours. It was insane. And it was just a small group of us. And so he goes in and just starts explaining about like how he does his process. And I kept trying to ask him questions about 3D. But the 3D process is so well integrated into their system that he says he doesn't even think about it anymore, because he knows it's going to look good in 3D because their process is so solid. And from everything that I've seen, it's almost absolutely flawless 3D. Yeah. And so I kept asking questions. I was like, James, but you know, like if you were to do this, would you think about the 3D? He's like, no, I just film it. I just film it and it comes out looking good. And so, we kept trying to work it in there, which was really cool. But listening to him talk about how much care and how much thought goes into the aspect ratio and the brightness of the screen and just like everything that a director could think about when you project your life's work.
Yeah.
I think it's really kind of inspiring to listen to that man talk about. I can listen to him talk about anything, honestly, but listen to that man talk about like the correct way to see his movie was really, really cool because I do feel like it does present differently when you see it in a super premium format, and I don't know if everybody kind of gets that. Like, Mark, do you feel like if you would have seen it in a less premium format, would it have hit you with this high an impact? Did you really enjoy it more because of a more premium format, or is it something you weren't really looking for?
Yeah, like I have noticed, like with like some like when I've rewatched some of them at home,
Mhm.
whether it's like I've had my 3D TV kind of in storage for now, just with moving and whatnot, but
Mhm.
like there is, I feel like there is a little bit something that's lost when you're not watching it that way.
Mhm.
Um, like I still enjoyed the movie, but like it does feel like almost like you're in a weird way. I mean, I guess this is how it would work too. It's like you're watching it with one eye closed, which is effectively
Yeah.
what would happen. Would just make it 2D.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. What about you, Stanford? How much emphasis do you put into your movie watching experience when you go into the theater or at home? Or I feel like you're about to say something I'm not gonna like, Stanford. I feel like you're
No,
about to. Okay. Okay.
I hope it's something that you'll like, Augustine. Honestly,
Yeah.
I always want to see it in IMAX or Dolby
Yeah.
Atmos.
Very
And
cool.
those are the options that we have here in Salt Lake City.
Mhm.
And honestly, if I can see every movie in the IMAX theater, the local IMAX theater, I would.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so I hope that's the right answer.
No, no, I'm just kidding. I'm just
But
totally kidding with you.
I I would much rather go to a theater anytime than
Mhm.
watch anything on TV.
Same.
I mean, I still love watching movies on TV, but I always just want to go to the theater, regardless of the
Yeah.
film.
Mhm. Mhm.
And as I mentioned, and I just have told friends too, if you can't see Avatar: Fire and Ash, in IMAX 3D or at least on a 3D, you know, maybe it's not. Maybe you shouldn't go because you really should see it
Yeah.
in 3D. Go see it.
Absolutely.
You
Yeah.
got to
Like
see
big
because the
women on the
experience of it
Yeah.
is so phenomenal.
Well, I think it even goes so far that, I love the Avatar movies, but I can't watch them in 2D. They've been on TV and stuff like that,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I try to like get into it, but it just doesn't suck me in
It
like
doesn't
like
do it for me either
yeah, it's
in
just
any
like
way.
it just doesn't
Yeah.
have that breath of life that I know that's I don't know if a lot of people see it that way, but for me, I know that that's what 3D does when I'm
Oh, yeah.
watching something in 3D.
Well, and I
Just
just
gives it
feel
all
like,
different.
yeah,
Mhm.
I'm with you. Sorry to interrupt. I just have been telling friends too. It's like it's an experience. I mean, it's an
Mhm.
interesting film, but it's like it's an experience that
Yeah.
you just don't get
Yeah.
Yeah.
watching other movies.
Yeah.
You know?
And I haven't seen Avatar in 4DX, but like this past year, now that I'm in a place that has 4DX like available to me,
Mhm.
I saw Superman that way last
Mhm.
year. I saw Dogma that way, which was very interesting.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah,
that's an
Okay.
interesting.
that that was the
Yeah.
most subtle 4DX experience I've
Yeah.
had.
Yeah,
Did you
exactly.
when they were riding in the car and they're in first gear, were those seats really rocking like that car was gonna fall
Yeah,
apart?
yeah. Well, and so like when the poop monster explodes, too, you get sprayed with
Yeah.
water,
Oh,
and
that's
and like that's just water, but like it's like,
yeah. But your brain
but
is telling you it's
yeah,
poop water,
yeah.
toilet water. Yeah.
That's
But
Yeah.
I saw Back
hilarious.
to the Future in 4DX, and
Mhm.
that's my
Oh,
you can barely see it off to the side
Say,
back here, but that's
you
my
know,
favorite.
that's-
That's my favorite movie. It
Dear and
was,
dear, yeah.
yeah, it was like experiencing the ride at Universal Studios again. Like,
Oh yeah,
fun.
the
so
ride.
it
That's
was
so
it
cool.
was amazing. So yeah, I would. But I've heard people that have seen Fire and Ash in 4DX. Like, I thought Superman was intense in 4DX. It's like all the punching and like flying and stuff. Like, I was really getting rocked around in my seat in that.
Yeah.
But I've heard with people that are seeing Fire and Ash because of like all the flying on the Banshees and whatnot.
Well,
in that, yeah,
3.5 hours too.
Yeah,
Of flying and fighting. Yeah.
yeah, that's quite the experience to watch it that way too. So I guess
yeah.
that would be one other way people could experience the Avatar films too.
Yeah, you know what? I still haven't been to a 4DX screening, and maybe that's just because I'm not sure I'm fully in belief of that style, but I do feel like I need to experience it once. But I don't know if it's gonna be in a 3-hour movie. That's a lot. That's a lot of time to ask for in a moving seat like that, you know. But maybe something else.
I haven't been.
I would
4DX
suggest it
either.
be something like Superman or
Yeah,
like Back to the Future or something like that. That like maybe like something that you've seen before, and maybe that they're doing, and you can like in your head you're like, okay, maybe like I'm gonna get moved around in this scene that I know about.
Yeah,
but
yeah, absolutely.
I think that they just
format...
installed seatbelts on them now too.
Yeah, exactly. We have this format of theaters here in Salt Lake City that are called D-Box.
Oh yeah,
I've heard of D-Box. Yeah,
and so the seats move, but you're not getting water or something.
Yeah.
You aren't having any other sensory things going on. And D-Box just sucks. I think for me, I hated it. You can change. You can actually completely turn it off, which is what I did after about 10 minutes. But you can change the intensity. It's just got like this dial on it. I saw Godzilla -1 in and it would just shake at like these random parts. It was like it wasn't even synced with the film in any way.
Oh, really?
Like
weird.
Something intense was happening, and so then your seat would start to shake and be like,
oh yeah.
That sucks.
It was stupid. It was completely stupid. So I don't know. I want to try 4DX. Hopefully, I'll get to try.
4DX is very synced. It's very synced to what's going on. Yeah. So I mean, all these different formats of ways you can check it out now. So like we've kind of talked about how when we watched the first film, second, third. So since there's such that big gap between the first and second film, now when the first movie came out, whoever wants to answer us first, did you feel like you got attached to the characters in that? And then when the second movie came out, what did you think about like the expansion to the world from there, like with the additional characters, the time jump and whatnot between the first one and Way of Water?
It's a really interesting question, and I say that because I call myself a huge fan of this franchise, but I have a difficult time attaching to not the characters per se, but really kind of memorizing their names because the language is kind of a tough one to like really kind of understand, you know?
I just call by their actors' names.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I would say that yes, in the first one, only because Sigourney Weaver's scientist name is Dr. Augustine. I'm like, oh yeah, she's cool.
Yes,
because my name is never in movies. So I remember her off the bat. I remember watching the movie, in 2009, and being really swept up in the event of it all. And obviously remembering just the main characters' names, and then just kind of going from there. And I feel like it wasn't up until Fire and Ash where I really, I guess my fandom and my appreciation for these movies has just kept growing, because now I feel like I'm attached to the characters. In 1 and 2, I was attached, but I would say I was more swept up in the movement of the movie and the technical aspects and just the grandiosity of it all. And in this one, I feel like I really got to know the characters quite a bit, and that I understand their motivations, and I understand their arcs a little bit, because we're starting to see how they're progressing and how they're growing and how they're changing over time. So this movie really was a great character piece for the Na'vi that we know.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
How
I
about you,
do
Steve?
too. That's how I feel about it too. First first couple movies, I mean, I was really drawn in and appreciate it, but I just feel like this third movie is what I really understood the characters better,
Mhm.
and I still am terrible with their names, but
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. They're hard names.
I need to work on that.
Jake Sully,
Yeah,
Jake Sully,
uh,
Natiri,
Spider.
Natiri,
Natiri, Spider.
Spider,
Yeah,
Jermaine Clement,
yeah. See,
Jamaica
exactly.
Man.
That's where we kind of
Giov-
lose it, right?
That's
Giovanni
exactly it.
Ribisi. Ste-
Yep, yep, exactly.
Oh,
That's how it
Yeah,
kind of is. Sigourney Weaver.
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah. So, and you know what?
Sigourney
That's
Weaver as a Navi.
yeah.
yes.
Human Sigourney
And Kate Winslet.
and Kate
Yeah.
Winslet. Yeah. But I also don't want to sound like I'm knocking the movie because
Yeah.
No,
obviously each one of
exactly.
these characters deserves to have their name known and recognized
Yeah.
and things like that.
Yeah.
But you know, and I always try to, whenever I watch a movie, I love to watch movies with my wife because she's not a movie person. And I have to drag her to the movie theaters, which is actually really interesting for me because she'll reality check me quick and I'll be like, oh yeah, you're right, that wasn't the greatest scene, because I'll be really swept up in it, and
Okay.
I'm quick to forgive and forget when it comes to, you know, scenes not being so great or VFX not doing or lines not written so great. But she will be like, oh, that was bad, and I was like, oh man, what am I just too swept up in this? But she's like, yeah, you are, you're a little swept up, but it's okay, I'll bring you back to life.
She
All right.
brings
And
you down
yeah,
to reality.
she so a lot of my analysis whenever I talk, you know, online or with the guys, it's after having conversations with her about things that we have, you know, kind of seen together. We get a lot of screenings. She'll go with us to screenings and stuff. And so we'll have a lot of conversations about what we just saw. And she will help me see the other things that, you know, my geeky brain, like I'll attach myself to something that I really like and just kind of forget the bad stuff about it. But she'll be like, yeah, that was good, but that line wasn't so great. And, you know, just blah, blah, blah. Like I could have predicted that. And I'm just like, I guess that makes sense. And it gives me a perspective of what a, you know, I don't want to call him an average viewer, but somebody who's
Right.
not in our
Yeah.
space
Right.
experiences movies like, you know, because I always like to have that perspective because that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people who might go in and watch Avatar and maybe watch Fire and Ash for the first time as their first Avatar movie. And I'm just like, this is
Yeah.
crazy, but it does happen, you know, and what's that person's experience when they go in and watch a movie like this? I always try to keep that in the back of my head when it's, you know, kind of sequels or big franchises that are well known, because it does change the way you kind of interact with movies a little bit or think about movies a little bit, because there's, you know, we're fortunate that we get to talk about this kind of stuff, but there's people who are busy, parents, and, you know, who can't get to the movie theater or
Yeah.
whatever it is, their life is just too busy and they don't get to experience it like we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, the other thing too with like between Way of Water and Fire and Ash is that these two films in particular felt more of like a part one and a part two kind of thing, even though they're within the franchise, they're part two and part three. And that's also just because for the longest time we just thought Avatar was the only movie in the Avatar films. But like I think like what you're saying there too is that, and like you as well, Stanford, with like starting to attach more onto the characters in this third film because of that too, because like we're not getting too big of a jump in time, so we're kind of sitting with these
Right.
characters,
Yeah.
and growing and like
Mhm.
evolving with them within this space. I did see one meme that I did think was funny is like it said that each of these films is just these two guys meeting up to fight each other and then saying same time next week with Jake Sully and Stephen Lang.
Yeah.
And the Colonel.
Which I was like,
Yeah.
it's like they're not wrong,
Mm-hmm.
because I mean that is kind of what's happening.
It is kind
Yeah,
of what's happening.
It is kind of, kind of. So I have a question for you guys then. So
Yeah.
we've seen the third one, and I like to, you know, ask people this. We don't know where the franchise is going, but where do each of you think this franchise is going as far as like the ultimate goal? Is this going to be, you know, a story where we have like a Navi Jesus, or is this going to be more like a reconnecting to nature kind of thing? Are we going to see the bad guys become the good guys? How do you guys imagine this franchise kind of wrapping up in the 6th or whatever movie comes out?
Well, my guess, I've been thinking about this too, is this going to be a generational battle? Because for sure, um, the Colonel and what's her chaplain, the Ashley, they're making babies, or at least they made a baby.
Hey, okay,
And so
okay.
I'm thinking that, and then also there's this new baby, the Kate Winslet baby. I'm so sorry here, I'm
Mhm.
just butchering. I'm not even attempting the character
okay.
names.
It's okay.
Please forgive me, friends.
Yeah.
But I think that baby's got stuff going on. I kind of feel like in some ways
Interesting.
it's going to be Star Wars-esque in that it's going to be. I mean, I'm just wondering if it's going to be generational.
Interesting. So does that mean you maybe think Jake is gonna pass away and Natiri maybe is gonna pass away at some point, or do you
Possibly,
feel
or
like
they'll just be older. I don't know
okay?
what really. Do we really know what happens as they age? I mean, clearly they become adults, but
Yeah.
have
I
we
know
met
that
Yeah.
there's
have we met
elderly
any
Navi.
have we met
Yeah.
any
Yeah.
geriatric
Not geriatric.
Navi?
No, not geriatric. I mean, Natiri's dad was,
Oh
older,
yeah, right.
right?
Right.
And the main I guess the medicine lady that we see, I don't know what her name was, but in Avatar
Yeah.
1, the one
Yes.
that was really connected with Awash, and you could visibly see that she was older. But as far as nursing home nursing home Navi, we haven't seen those.
Well, and what's
Yeah.
going to happen with Spider and with young Sigourney
Exactly.
Weaver?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Are they going to be able to hook up? I
Any
mean,
theories? Mark, theories?
Just put their braids together and do it.
I know. It's like
I feel like I need to cover my eyes whenever that happens. I'm
I
just like,
know.
oh,
And
it's a little
again,
personal.
not
Because
not wanting to keep us in the gutter, but I mean,
Yeah.
I really feel like it's going to be generational because I think
Yeah.
that those points were clear of what was what these going on with
Sure.
these characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So which I think is
Well,
interesting.
Yeah.
and they did make a clear point between the first and the second one to basically have like Natiri and Jake build such like a large family over that period of time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, granted, now they're between that time, their older son passed away between the second and third movie.
Yeah.
Well, not between, but
yeah.
like in the second movie.
But in the second, yeah.
But then they also have like the adoptive Sigourney Weaver. I'm a
Mhm.
clone. And then kind of sort of Spider is kind of like their foster kid as well too in a way.
And Kate
Yeah.
Winslet baby. I mean, they have a very interesting family.
Yeah.
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 Although I
Yeah.
don't know if they were keeping her because her husband was still alive and her kids were still alive in the film.
I think they all made it. Yeah. I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
they all made it.
So it was
Did the husband make it? He didn't he?
Yeah, this time Kate Winslet drowned in the water. I mean,
Yeah.
went under the
She
water.
didn't make it.
James Cameron.
Sorry, I was talking about the rest of
the. Yeah, Kate Winslet.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah,
You haven't seen the movie
But
yet.
yeah, speaking of like turns with other people, though, I did like that turn with Jermaine Clement's character, like finally having enough of basically.
I know.
Yeah,
and he scampered off too, so everything he'll be back. I hope.
Yeah.
Because he's super cool.
He's
Right?
He should show back up with Rhys Darbyard and Brett McKenzie, and they shoot him all New Zealand anyway, so I mean, why not?
Yeah,
but
he lives there, so it's
exactly.
I don't. Yeah, like with that, I think they're definitely building towards something with Eywa and with the younger Sigourney Weaver character.
Yeah,
like something.
She's got skills, or some kind of innate stuff.
Yeah,
that she can summon. Yeah,
like the Navi force powers.
Yeah. Talk to the animal. See, would it be as much as a force power though, or do you think it's more like communing with nature and like really helping people travel through? I guess, yeah.
Well, yeah, but I think it does. It seems like it's more kind of based in nature, right?
Yeah.
I feel like I think what's gonna happen is like there's gonna be something too with because they've driven out like humans like 2 or 3 times now, and I know that it takes like so long for them to get there from Earth, and they also wouldn't have brought it up in this film if they're not going to come back to it with like the thing about like the thing with Spider being able to now like breathe without having to wear a mask.
Yeah.
And they did have him for a short enough period of time that were able to get like tests and try to, you know, maybe reverse engineer that. But we'll see if that happens.
Do we
I
know
would
what
like
humans? Oh, go ahead, Mark. Sorry.
I was just gonna say I would really like Giovanni Ribisi's character to get some kind of comeuppance by the end of these movies, though.
Sure. He's got to.
He's pure evil, right?
Yeah,
He's horrible.
Yeah.
Do we know who survived that? Did Edie Falco survive?
I don't think so. She was on one of those ships when it
that super exploded.
Yeah.
Magnets. Yeah.
Yeah, I think she had suffered the ultimate fate there.
But
you know what? I gotta rewatch it though. I've only seen it once, so I gotta make sure that everything I've seen is correct.
And also, do we think Stephen Lang is showing up again?
See, absolutely. I think Stephen Lang and Varang, or how do we say?
Yeah, Varang. I think it's Varang.
I think both of them are surviving. At least Varang, because she's got to birth a baby.
Yeah,
she's got to birth Stephen Lang's baby.
Absolutely. Yeah, I feel like he is actually going to make the ultimate turn and join Jake.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he's gonna be evil forever. And we saw his soft side when he first started interacting with Spider, remember?
Exactly.
Back in part 2. We know that he's got that humanity in him and that he can be swayed. I think he's too brainwashed at the time, but I feel like he is, making a baby with a native Navi. And I think that's really going to kind of get into his head, and I think it's going to turn him. I think he's going to connect with Eywa at some point, and it's going to he's going to turn. And I don't know what that's going to do to the story, because they're no longer meeting, at noon and fighting every day, So
and I think the important part with that really quick is that was consensual too, is because like stuff like that's happened, like, in like actual history, with like, but so I think that makes a difference there too, with like them both wanting to do that and not like him forcing himself upon her or vice versa. So I think
agreed. I think that the Jermaine Clement character is going to come back in a big way too, because I think he's the one human, right, who thinks all this stuff is screwed up, what they're doing, and he cares about the environment, and he cares about these people. He cares about the Na'vi, and I think he's wherever he's scampered off to, he's getting the rebel force to put together. And he's going to come back, I think, with in a big way. At least maybe that's just what I'm hoping, just because I think he's so cool.
I think you're right. I think you're right, Stanford. And he has deep knowledge of the technology. He's he had his fingers in everything, and he could run so many different things. He was one of the smartest people there. And for him to be his location unknown, I think that bodes well for the Na'vi people and his character for however long he's going to be in this franchise.
Did evil artificial arm guy, did he meet his demise too?
I think he did.
I think he did.
Yeah,
he got
he was in another big explosion.
Yeah, I hated that guy.
Yeah, he's horrible. I know. I knew he was going to come back when we only saw his arm fling off, and it never turned that out. He's coming back, and sure enough.
I gotta say though that James Cameron knows how to make a villain that I love to hate.
Right.
Which I think is, super, even though he was a little bit like, I don't want to say a stereotype of a character, but he was that bad guy, and there was not a single good bone in his body.
Yeah.
And so it made it really easy to hate that guy, and to see him finally get his comeuppance was so satisfying.
Yeah.
It was so good, because you didn't get to see Quaritch, bite the dust, because he's obviously a super important character. Varang's still hanging out, so they still have a big part to play. But to see such a piece of crap. Just
Yeah,
get,
horrible person.
Get it from a whale. It's just
the whales were
it's just
so fantastic. Yeah,
yeah,
so fantastic. Speaking of James Cameron, though, and I mean, I think about this every time I see one of his movies.
Mm-hmm.
Who composes a better action scene, real or sequence than he does? I mean,
yeah.
And this film had so many of them that were all, I just thought, tremendous.
Mm-hmm.
Thrilling, exciting. You can follow the action. You know what's going on for the most part, and wow, it's exciting and just jaw dropping. I think a few times it literally just my jaw just dropped, particularly in those during Act 3, all that crazy stuff that's going on in Act 3, like when the ash people all fly in at that certain point. I mean, anyway, it just goes on and on.
No, you're right.
Tremendous.
You're right. I think that's a huge point because I feel like in filmmaking, ever since, when I first noticed it was in the Bourne movies, right, where with the shaky camera action sequences.
Yeah.
I even back then, a lot of people were very excited. I felt like it was a cop out for maybe not great action.
Too.
Me too.
Yeah. I felt the same way, Augustine.
Yeah. Like, the movies, action packed, exciting movies. But when I first noticed it, I was like, wait, are they trying to hide the fact that these stunt actors are bad? Like,
yeah, these stunt actors are just kind of, not doing much, and they just shake the camera around, and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, but for filmmakers to, very clearly kind of show action, I think, and especially in the way films are currently being made, I think it's just so much more effective. I was watching a reel today about Akira Kurosawa and Seven Samurai, and or was it Yojimbo? The final fight scene in one of the movies where he cuts the guy and the blood splatters everywhere. But in that movie, he holds on that one shot of these two guys just staring at each other for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
No music, no nothing, just building and building and building tension for it to end in one swing of the sword. That's brilliant. And I don't think enough people are taking those kinds of chances anymore, or even, considering that action doesn't always have to be in your face, cameras moving, crazy, shaky things. And I feel like James Cameron, he's not doing exactly what Akira Kurosawa did, but it's still very clearly showing cool, clean action. But yeah, I mean, how do you feel, Mark? Are you on board with that? Do you like the shaky cameras? Are you in between somewhere?
I think it works in some cases. Other cases, it probably is to do what you two are saying there, to cover some stuff up. Also, usually, like, you can tell that in action sequences if there's a lot of cuts for like an action sequence.
Yeah, absolutely.
That, like, they're trying to build the fight in the edit rather than within, like, when it was shot. Really quick, going back to 3D really quick, and then I'll come back to this, is that's one reason why I've kept an eye on the Apple Vision Pro, is that I'm gonna wait a few generations for that before I actually maybe grab one. But the thing that had me most excited for that was about watching 3D films and that, and then how Disney Plus specifically has a thing built into Disney Plus on that to be able to watch films in 3D, and it would feel like you're in that, would in a sense feel like you're in that IMAX theater watching it. If you had your headphones on, had that on, you can't perceive anything else around you. So I think that'll be cool to see where that maybe eventually goes. But
well, I can say I have an old coworker friend who is now the main stereographer at Marvel. So she went from the company I was working at. She's the main 3D person at Marvel. And she told us that she is using the Apple Vision Pro to quality check Marvel movies in 3D.
Okay.
So I think you're right, Mark. It's getting there. I think it might already be there as far as, if you want to pay the price tag, or if you're not worried about, she didn't pay for the Apple Vision Pro. So I'm sure when a new one comes out, she's going to get a brand new one and it's only going to be better. But the VR 3D viewing experience, I think, is pretty acceptable at this point. I think it is pretty cool. I think the PlayStation 4 also has the PlayStation VR, in which you can currently watch 3D movies in your VR headset. But I think I've heard people complain that the pixel density is just not that great. And so it almost feels like you're watching like an old CRT television because you can kind of see the pixels. And so, it's kind of an interesting viewing experience, but you can adjust your screen to however big you want it. And so I think that's pretty cool. Like it's just you and as big a screen as you want. And I think that could turn some people on to 3D content as well.
Yeah. So fingers crossed. And then you can get the prescription like lenses built into that.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Another thing.
Here's another 3D thing that I just heard about too. And I don't know what the update on this is, but apparently at CES this year, a company's gonna debut a glassesless 3D television that works. So there already is glassesless 3D TVs and displays out there, but you can only see them at a very specific angle. You can't really move
I was
left
gonna
or
say,
right, or
just
down.
say it was kind of this forced angle,
right? Yeah. I don't know if you guys have been to Universal Studios, but the new Mario Brothers ride has some displays like that. And no, well, actually, when you're waiting in line.
Oh, when you're in the queue.
Yeah, when you're in queue. So you're walking by, these big display panels, and they are in 3D. But as you're walking across them, you can see it shift, and it just looks weird as you're walking across it. So you have to be looking at it at a very specific angle. But I hear that this brand new display is going to track your head movements with whatever tracking system they have, so that it kind of follows you, so that it, your 3D view is always perfect. And like I said, I just saw an advertisement for it. I'm not sure, if it's ready to be shown yet, but it did show, which was exciting, just a T-Rex coming out of the screen. And I was like, oh,
okay.
Are we trying to make a 3D revolution again? Because I would love that. I'm so scared. I'm so scared that my 3D TV is going to break, and then I don't have any way to watch it.
Nothing to replace it.
Yeah.
Well, that's the only reason I still have my PlayStation 3 as well, too, because it plays the 3D Blu-rays on that. So I was like, I have to keep them.
Yes, you have to keep the tech. Yeah. The PS4 doesn't, so I'm hoping that doesn't break on me. But I actually just bought. Luckily, there's still new Blu-ray players that do play 3D, which is good.
Nice.
So I have my 4K 3D Blu-ray player, so I'm covered. I'm kind of future-proof, but my TV's not future-proof because that thing's already old, and it doesn't even play like HDR10 or anything. So I had to really cater down my collection to make sure that I can properly see things on my screen. It's been a lot of work, you guys. I've really had to geek out on my tech. I've had to geek out on my tech so much
and work hard.
It's work. You're right, Sam. It is work because I'm always thinking about it. Like, how can I get are my 4Ks presenting properly? Like, is my 3D gonna suffer because I have to change my settings and blah blah? It's a lot of stuff to think
and not
about.
to mention finding, building up your library too, right?
My God. Oh my flea markets and
seriously,
looking
everywhere, right?
Everywhere. I'm looking for 3D Blu-rays.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they should be able to have all of because they have the Disney Plus on Apple Vision Pro with the 3D stuff in there. Why don't they just have a normal Disney Plus for people that have a 3D?
Very good. Let's talk to Bob Iger about that and see if we can
Granted, they would then probably charge you for an additional tier to have many options of formats, but
I do know that there was one streaming service that offered 3D, and I don't know if it was Tubi. It was one of the free ones. It was Tubi or something like that. They did have a 3D option, and I think it did play on our modern polarized 3D passive TVs. But I don't know why it never picked up. Maybe I'm just being optimistic, and there's more people who like 3D than I am imagining, or less people. I wished everybody liked it, but that's not the case. And so it's just just a case of like me really liking something and it's not popular, so it's not always an option. And then I have to pay too much for my 3D Blu-rays because I get them from Japan. Japan
I was
offers
gonna say that. Like I would get upset because like Sony was the only one that would do the sets that came 4K 3D Blu-ray digital copy.
Yeah.
But then otherwise you had to choose, like, well, crap, do I want the 4K or do I want the 3D Blu-ray, or do I have to buy both of these?
Did you have to do both?
Yeah. I have so many doubles of Blu-rays because I've had to do that for older copies.
Yeah.
Luckily, I have a friend who lives in Japan and he's from LA, so he visits maybe twice a year. And I always order Blu-rays from him because Japan still does it. So they do this thing called Movie Next, and it's this, collection where it is that, Mark. It's the 4K, it's the 3D Blu-ray, and I think it's the regular Blu-ray. And you get the whole collection. It's
Nice.
wildly expensive. It's like $90. But
Jesus.
there's no other way for me to get
some of these films, right?
Yeah. Like Fantastic Four never came out on 3D Blu-ray in the States, but it did come out in Japan. And so I had to order a copy. Same with, Captain America and Thunderbolts. Like I had to order them from him and they were wildly expensive, but there's no other way that I'm going to be able to get these in the States without paying shipping and all this other, it'll be even more expensive. I've seen some of those Movie Next collections. Like I think the Shang-Chi one is actually really expensive. I've seen it online going for like $200.
Wow.
Or something like that, because it's just, maybe it's out of print now and people just have them. And so collectors want them. And it's an expensive hobby to get into, unfortunately.
That's why I was glad Hector asked James Gunn about the 3D Blu-ray for Superman as well too.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Which we didn't get, by the way. He did not come through on his promise, but it's fine. We'll figure out. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but there's this company in Germany called Turbine. And Mark, you maybe heard of it. So you haven't. So I'm the one to break this to you. This is great. It's a boutique studio out of Germany that does make 3D movies for, movies that didn't come into print in 3D. So like one of my favorite movies is Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. Absolutely love it. Never got a big popular 3D release, but they came out with the 3D copy of it. And so you can order it from them. It's not even wildly expensive. I think it was like $25. You pay for shipping. And now I have a copy of Puss in Boots: The Last Wish in 3D, which is the superior version of the way of watching that movie. And so I really like that a company like that exists, even though, it's a little bit, it's not as expensive as the Japanese copies, but, I'll still pay a little bit more to get that.
That's the quality.
Super high, super high fidelity. It looks really good. They even print they get the good, actual promotional art. So they work with the companies that are releasing this to do small batches of these movies that didn't get wide releases. I love the movie Bumblebee too. That never came out in 3D until Turbine did it. And so Turbine puts out these, these really cool versions of these movies that might never have a 3D Blu-ray release.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So maybe they'll get like the remastered Coraline and Paranorman that have come out in the past 2 years too.
I hope so. Yeah,
because those remastered versions of those films in 3D were outstanding.
Yeah,
I was glad I got to go see them again in theaters.
Especially
in Paranorman, because that's my favorite. That's my favorite.
That's your favorite one, right, Mark? Yeah.
That's cool. I love that movie. The 3D version is actually fantastic as well. But another funny story about that as well is that we talked to what's the company that's putting those out? Is it Arrow Video, or is it
Shout Factory for the
Shout Factory
4Ks?
Yes, for the 4Ks. So we were at Comic-Con this last year and we passed by the Shout Factory booth, and one of the guys working, it was one of the main dudes at Shout Factory, and we sat there and we talked about 3D for like 45 minutes with this guy. And he's like, but why 3D? He was like, why 3D? I was like, dude, there's so many people asking for it. Maybe not in your face like us 3 nerds are right now, but there's other people who really kind of enjoy it. And we thought it was weird because they re-released a 3D version for theaters. I'm like, why not just put this on a remastered 3D Blu-ray or whatever you need to do? But it's just my wishful thinking, and I wish 3D was more popular than it is.
Because it kind of bumps me out that it's like talking about like film preservation. It's like like you got to see that movie in 3D in theater. Yeah. Good luck ever watching in 3D again.
Yeah.
Ever again, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Can we talk a little bit about motion capture?
Absolutely.
And Augustine, I'd be interested to know what you know, with your experience with James Cameron and
Mhm.
the filmmakers, is are are all the dialogue scenes with face, are those all motion capture? Are some of them just like true animation? And how does that also work with the 3D? I mean, did you learn
Yeah.
any stuff about
Yes.
that, Augustine, on your set
So
visit?
the cool thing about that set visit is James Cameron walked us from beginning to almost the end of how he shoots a sequence. And so he showed us his like cool little camera rig and what he can do with like digital, like he can see what he's filming on TVs that are around him. And then he showed us the rigs that the characters are wearing. So everything you're seeing on the screen is actually captured from the actors. So he would show us after he finished showing us that the how he did it. He took us into a theater room and showed us shot by shot, side by side, what the actors did on the set and what the 3D or what the CG looked like. And it was, when I'm telling you that it captured all the nuances of the movement in their faces, it captures absolutely every single nuance of the movement in their faces, which is absolutely wild because he had to build a whole skeleton rig of a Navi
Yes.
with muscles that
Oh man.
move in sequence in a particular
Right.
way.
Okay.
Certain movement happens
Oh,
so
that's
that the
yeah.
interpolation of the actors acting comes across properly for the, it's absolutely wild what this man did those 10 years when he wasn't making an Avatar movie. He was spending that
He
in
was
research
doing
and
this
development.
tech. Yeah.
Yes, he was in research and development to make sure that the next so the question I did ask him about this was, do you feel like you are where your current tech is, do you feel like by the time you get to the sixth or whatever movie, that the tech is going to be so advanced that the movies are not going to look the same? And he said, he didn't even hesitate. He said, no. He said, our pipeline is so perfect right now that it's going to look just as good
This is good. Yeah.
now as it is going to be in the last movie. And I was like, this
Like,
man has
okay.
thought about everything. And
Everything.
so everything that you can think of as far as like how the characters move, because obviously there's differences in proportions, right? The Navi are 8 to 9 feet tall. And so a 9 foot tall person moves differently than a 5'6" person.
Yeah.
And so he's thought about the way the things kind of interpolate so that the actors never have to think about them being a Navi, they just act. And he takes care of all the rest through machine learning and like all of these huge processes that he put into the production pipeline, so that it kind of automates once the performance has been captured, it's captured, and you can use any different amounts of cameras and lighting. And so one really cool thing that he did, because he was showing it off, we had two actors in front of us. They were in the full Navi motion capture stuff. And James was like, well, if I wanted to be here, I could do this. And then he shouts to a guy. He's wearing a headset and he has a microphone. And there's like 60 people in the room, all with the same headset and microphone, and everybody's listening to him. And then he goes, hey Mike, make my movement 4-1. And then Mike goes, okay, 4-1. And so he shows us that when he moves, it's 4 times faster than he would normally move across the screen. It could be a literal 1-to-1 movement if you wanted to, 4-1. And then he goes, hey Mike, make it 20-1. And he was like, check this out. And so he makes it 20-1 movement. And then he just like flies in the air with the camera, not in real life, but like the camera, you could see the camera just interpolate
Yeah.
20 times the movement. And so he has this cool drone shot, and it's just, he can build these crazy shots all on the fly, all with this crazy technology that he's built that's based on motion capture and game rendering. And so there's just so many things that are involved. I wish you guys could have been there to geek out on this kind of stuff, because it was just, there's just so much. There's so much.
So cool.
Yeah, it's my jaw was on the floor.
Oh, seriously. I bet the whole
just
time.
it was just insane to hear this man talk. I could listen to him talk all day long. But yeah, it was one of the coolest things I've ever done, for sure, because it really kind of gave me a deeper understanding of what I was looking at on screen, and how the actors really are just kind of shining in all of this. Like you could see Zoe Saldana's acting in the character, you know, like you
Yeah.
could really kind of
Yeah.
see all of that stuff. And for something that is traditionally thought of as just like kind of throwaway, kind of what do you call it, uncanny valley,
Yeah.
which has been thought of as uncanny valley for such a long time, for people not to even think twice about it, for it to feel so natural and just, you know, organic, I think that's a huge triumph. And that's part of the reason why I love this whole franchise, because it's doing something we've never seen before. And I think that's really cool. I think that's worth celebrating because it's a huge triumph.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's probably a good place to wrap this conversation up about it too.
Guys, we got 4 more hours. I have so much more to say.
I know.
We have to go. We have to go longer than the movie.
Okay, yeah, let's do it.
Well,
let's do it on the next one. We'll do it on the next one.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah,
Yes,
because
yes,
we
and
definitely
yes.
have you come back for. There's so many things we could talk about.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's animated Star Wars. There's animated Lord of the Rings.
Guys, did you know we had Gendy Tartakovsky on the podcast?
Yes.
That was cool.
Yes,
that was amazing.
So cool.
Yes, he's one of my heroes. We could talk more
Ditto.
animation on the next one, you guys, because
Yes.
that was crazy. That was fun. So
So cool you got to meet him.
My
Oh,
gosh,
man.
it's insane. But save that for the next couple of ones, Mark.
yeah. I don't know if you did you watch a lot of Greg Weisman stuff growing up at all, like Gargoyles?
Oh yes, yes. Mm-hmm.
So like years ago, like we had him on this, and to me at that point that was kind of my Tartakovsky thing at that point, because it was cool just to like talk to him about Spectacular Spider-Man and
absolutely
Gargoyles and all that stuff. And yeah, I think you would also get along very well with my girlfriend too, because she is super into all of Middle Earth. We watched all of
Narsil shirt.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I got her a hoodie for Christmas that says Hobbit at heart. So
excellent.
Perfect.
Wait, before we go, are you guys going to the big Lord of the Rings Nerd Fest happening this weekend? They're showing the extended versions this
the
weekend
25th
only.
Anniversary.
Yes, in theaters, and so you guys have to go.
Regrettably, I can't go, but I'm bummed though, because I know they're doing it at one of my local movie theaters, you know, and they've been advertising it for weeks. I'm like, crud, I can't go that weekend.
No,
but,
I will try.
I take it you're going, Augustine.
Yeah, well, I can't make it to the Saturday showings, but I'm going Friday and Sunday.
Okay.
Fellowship is my favorite movie, but you know, Return of the King is also. I cannot miss the giant format that it's going to be in, so I have to go. 4 hours long.
Right.
Yeah, Fellowship's my favorite as well.
Yeah.
Well, and I'll actually be in LA this weekend too, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
There you go.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, for if anybody wants to check out other stuff, I mean, we talked about it during the show, but if people want to check out where they can elsewhere they can see you online, where else can they find you?
Yeah, so my social handles are El Santo Taco, LEL_Santo Taco. That's, you know, just everywhere. Obviously, Heroes Reforged is my main channel, hanging out with Hector and Adam, and we just have a silly goose time, and you know, we just try to enjoy the things that we enjoy, and you know, hopefully you guys catch the vibes with us too.
Yeah, definitely. And then for us, you can find this episode and all the other episodes on animationfascination.net and all the socials and whatnot. So basically, just anywhere besides Twitter, you can find us.
Don't go there.
Yeah, it's a dark place.
Go there.
Yeah, we definitely want to thank you again for coming on. You're welcome back.
Anytime you so much, Augustine. It's such a pleasure. Thank you for everything.
Choose whatever topic you'd like to talk about the next time.
I'll talk about anything, you guys. Anything. I'll have a blast. Yeah, but thanks for having me. I really had fun, and maybe we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Yeah, sounds good. So we will see you again soon, Agustin. And until then, everybody.
Good. Yeah.